All right, a live look right now panning across at Cornell University in the area in Ithaca, New York State, about 4 hours northwest of the city of New York. Police at the Ivy League school are on high alert after vile anti-Semitic death threats were made to Jewish students on the campus.
And they were posted online. One of those saying, quote, eliminate Jewish living at the Cornell campus. The Jewish house on Cornell is yet another literal and symbolic form of apartheid and genocide on campus. It stands on land forcibly stolen from Native people who had their identity erased. And again, that's just part of the message. There were 4 other messages like this, one worse than the other. And again, this was not associated with the campus, this online site, but again, targeting specifically calling out students on Cornell's campus. Joining us now, Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. She also graduated from Cornell. So Congresswoman, welcome and thanks for coming on. What's it been like for you watching this unfold at your alma mater?
I don't recognize what's going on at that school. I mean, look, it has always been a very liberal school. If anything, it taught me to be more conservative in my thoughts because I actually had to defend myself while I was there from professors who are fairly aggressive in their liberal views, but nothing like what we're seeing right now. And I've got, some advice for parents. Don't send your kids to schools that are promoting terrorist activities, that are justifying what they're seeing happening in the Middle East by some kind of a radical ideology. These students are learning this on these campuses. So parents, stop sending your kids to campuses that are teaching this. Donors, don't give to colleges that are justifying terrorist activities, that are justifying children being burned alive, babies being beheaded, women being gang raped, and innocent civilians not only being murdered, but then taken to be used as human shields. And employers, when you see these students acting like this, don't hire them. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, a few years ago, where we had these universities that were threatening to kick out students if they didn't use the correct pronouns, that were kicking off conservative voices from campuses. And now we're seeing the justification of basically what turns out to be Hamas, terrorist activities. And we even have a professor at Cornell. I cannot believe that he has not been fired yet, but a history professor, Russell Rickford, who is talking about how exhilarating it is for what's happening in Gaza and how wonderful the Hamas people are for their torture and their terrorist activities against Israel. I am thoroughly disgusted, and I can't believe that that's happening on a campus that I loved so much that I went to for 4 years.
Well, as Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton talking on that point of students and safety, he put out this post online saying, why hasn't Biden's DOJ announced an investigation into the pro-Hamas campus rallies violating the civil rights of Jewish students? He goes on to say, let's call it like it is. Biden doesn't want to anger his anti-Semitic left-wing base. But in this message put out by Senator Cotton, Congresswoman, what are your thoughts on that and the DOJ potential investigations into this hate speech and at times this violence against Jewish people, not just on campus, but you've seen this across the country?
Across the country. I mean, you've seen violent uprisings in cities across the country ever since October 7th that are celebrating this type of activity. We had parents that went to school boards last year, school board meetings, to support their children that were called domestic terrorists. We legit have domestic terrorists, and you're seeing that activity in cities across the country. Why are they not being investigated? And as far as what the government can do, yeah, we can definitely push for an investigation and support that. But I am very supportive of Chairman Jason Smith's efforts to actually take away federal funding from universities that are not upholding their end of the bargain by teaching the next future of America, that are teaching them to basically hate our country, to support terrorist activities whose function is to get rid of the American way of life, whose mission with Hamas is to destroy Israel and the Jewish people. We need to look at how much money are we sending them from American taxpayer dollars and cut that federal funding if this is the kind of crap that they're going to be teaching to our students.
There have been calls for additional funding for Israel at the same time. As we know, the country is at war. The Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is testifying before a Senate committee. Before he even got started, the testimony was interrupted by a group of protesters. We've got that sound. We'll play it for you and get your thoughts.
Distinguished members of the Appropriations Committee, thank you for this opportunity to testify before you today.
Sir, you're demonstrating. Populated area
you see it there. Again, this happened just moments ago. The testimony started around 10 a.m. You're not just seeing it on college campuses anymore, Congresswoman. It has now made it to Senate committee hearings. Your thoughts on this sentiment that we've seen across the country?
You know, what we saw on October 7th was the most violent attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And you would never have heard people saying after 9/11 in the U.S., after what happened, that we need to have a ceasefire. The ceasefire, that issue extended or was gotten rid of as soon as Hamas came over and terrorized citizens, innocent citizens, as soon as they started gang raping women, beheading children, burning babies alive, and carting people over into Gaza to use as human shields. That ended. You're not trying to negotiate with a head of a society that has anything other than the death of the Jewish people and the annihilation of the state of Israel.
Yeah.
You can't negotiate with them. We need to support them, make sure that they are armed, make sure that they've got the resources that they need to be able to wipe Hamas off the face of the earth for the rest of our century.
Netanyahu again making that point. A ceasefire that is off the table, never was on the table. Cornell graduate, Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne joining us. Congresswoman, thank you.
Thank you.